Welcome back to my backyard. I hope you're having a good morning so far or a good afternoon. Today, I'm going to share a book with you called Do, Re, Mi. And it was written by Susan Roth in conjunction with Angelo Mafucci. Say Mafucci. Where does it sound like he comes from? You got it. Italia. He's Italian. And it says, if you can read music, thank Guido d'Arezzo. Let's find out a little bit more about how music came to be. Do, re, mi. If you can read music, thank Guido d'Arezzo. Ooh, look at this. A beautiful landscape somewhere in Italy. You've got to take a look at this writing at the beginning. Look at that writing. Isn't it cool? It's kind of from the medieval ages or the dark ages, before we had the musical staff, and then how it's turned into the musical staff. That's what we're going to discover. 1,000 years ago, if you heard a song and wanted to hear it again, you would have to remember it by heart. If you forgot the song, it could be lost forever. 1,000 years ago, no one could write down music, not even a single note of music. There were no notes. There were no staffs, no clefs, no sharps, no flats. There was no written music at all. So they had to remember everything with their ears. 1,000 years ago, in a small city in Tuscany, Guido of Arezzo learned to sing by rote like all the children in the choir. The choir master sang a song, and then the children repeated the song they heard. When someone needed a reminder, the choir master had to sing the song all over again. There was no way to read the sounds of a song like words in a book, because only the words of a song could be written. Words alone were not enough to keep a song alive forever. The thought of writing down the sounds of a song slipped into Guido's head when he was still young. Others had tried to do this before, but no one had ever found a way. The thought stayed with Guido as he grew into a man. Sometimes Guido tried to explain how easy it would be to learn to sing if only music could be read instead of memorized. "What's so wrong with memorizing?" asked Guido's teacher. "This is the way my father taught me to sing." "Maybe it's not the only way," said Guido. "Nonsense," said Guido's teacher. "All day long, I teach the children to memorize their songs. What would I do all day if children could learn songs without me? Everything would change." Huh. Sounds like he might not want to change. The musicians of Arezzo were not ready for change, but Guido was ready. He said goodbye to his friends and went to live with the Benedictine monks in Pomposa. So he left his village and came over here to Pomposa to become a monk. Again, Guido tried to explain how easy it would be if only music could be read like words in a book. "We already know how to sing," said the monks in Pomposa. "We love our music the way it is." Brother Michael stood right next to Guido. He was the only monk who was really listening. "So I could make up a song and write it down," he said, "and you could read it and sing it before you hear it? It would be like a book." Anyone could sing it if the music could be written. think of that? Exactly, said Guido. The choir masters won't have anything to do anymore, said Brother Michael. They'll have different things to do, said Guido. They would have different things to do. They could teach people how to read it. Well, Guido began to write on parchments with his quill and ink even before his thoughts were clear. Sometimes he tried to explain what he had written to Brother Michael. Brother Michael praised Guido when what he saw was clear. He complained to Guido when what he saw was not clear. Guido collected more letters and numbers and symbols than he knew how to use. His collections filled his rooms. His collecting filled his years. But how could he put them together? What should be included and what should be left out? And this would be a really tough project. Guido thought about writing down the sounds of songs during his lunches and vespers, his late nights, his walks in the woods. He thought during homilies and lessons. He thought while planting in the garden, comforting the sick, mending the monks' robes. Even when he was busy teaching children to sing, and even when he himself was singing, Guido was always thinking about a written language for music. Bit by bit, Guido began to build his musical system. But how could he put all of the pieces together in a way that someone else would ever be able to understand? Guido shut his eyes and held his head. Oh, you almost have it now, said Brother Michael. No, I don't, said Guido. He pounded his hand on the table. He put his head down and started to cry. I just cannot do it, he said. Guido, said Brother Michael, every day you get a little closer to the answer. You can't give up now. It's really good that Guido had Michael as an encouragement, because it would be easy for him to give up, wouldn't it? And then Guido had his epiphany. That's a fancy word for poof, the light bulb went off and went bing, I've got an idea. Guido organized his thoughts onto fresh parchments. Brother Michael was the first to see. Thank you for having faith in me, said Guido. I only listened while you worked, said Brother Michael. Soon everybody else will listen too. But the other monks in Pomposa still were not ready to listen. We like the way we sing our songs, said the other monks. If you want to write, write a story. If you want to read, go read a book. If you want to sing, sing the way you were taught. Leave me alone, Guido. Maybe it's time for you to go home. And so Guido decided to go back to his first home, back to Arezzo. I'll write you letters, said Brother Michael. I'll send you songs, said Guido. Guido sang his way back to Arezzo. Guido's back, said his old friends. Everyone had missed him. Welcome home, Guido, said Teodaldo, the new bishop. And the bishop is a high-ranking priest or official in the Catholic Church where Guido was going. Teodaldo asked Guido to become master of the children's choir. I'll do it, said Guido, and I'll teach the children to read music. They will prove to everyone that it is possible. Say that again, said Teobaldo. What in the world are you talking about? Look, said Guido. He held out his hand. Pretend my fingers are lines. Don't look at my thumb. What do you see between my fingers? Nothing but the empty spaces, said Teodaldo. Right, said Guido. There are lines and the spaces. Pitches go in order from low to high. Each pitch has its place, either on a line or in a space. These are the pieces of the puzzle. Go on, said Teobaldo. Everyone was listening now. Go on, said the others. They had begun to understand at last. Guido took a parchment out of his bag. Here is a song that you cannot know, he said, because I composed it. I've written it down. No one has ever seen it or heard it, except for the words, which come from an old poem. Remember that each line and each space has its own unique pitch. All right, let me hear all of you sing it together. Teodaldo and the others read Guido's music. They sang his song. Bravo, said Guido. So here is the parchment, and it's got all the Latin text to the poem that Guido was telling them about. They knew the words, but they'd never heard the pitches before, until now. Bravo, Guido, they said. Guido did teach the children in the choir to read music, and soon all the world was listening. When the Pope learned how to read music, he invited Guido to move to Rome. Guido was pleased to visit, but even the Pope could not persuade him to move away from home again. I am Guido of Arezzo, said Guido d'Arezzo. And 1,000 years later, that is how he is still known, as Guido d'Arezzo, Guido from Arezzo. So maybe I would be Signora Stobie da Woodlands, which would be Mrs. Stobie from the Woodlands. Guido's system of lines and spaces developed into the same system for musical notation that we use today. Guido chose the original do, originally ut, re, mi, fa, sol, la, syllables from parts of the poem he set to music 1,000 years ago. It is because of Guido d'Arezzo that we can hear Gregorian chant, the music of Bach, Beethoven, the blues, and all the other music ever written. So we started with 4 lines and the spaces, but it's now grown into 5 lines and the spaces in between those 5 lines. So here is our staff today, and we have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, and then we would have ti, do. Here's a glossary with all the pertinent words and definitions. I think I might make that a PDF for you and then upload it for you to use as a reference. Well, I hope you liked this book, Do, Re, Mi. If you can read music, thank Guido d'Arezzo. Have a great day, you guys. I miss seeing you. I hope to see you soon. Do something musical today. Share a song with a friend. Write your own melody using these solfege syllables, and then try to sing it. Sing it for your parents, sing it for your brothers, sing it for your neighbors. Go outside and sing it for the birds. And thank Guido d'Arezzo that you can read music. Have a great day.